I love minds that are active, and I try and get around them as often as I can. I mentioned consuming knowledge. I want to write more. I want to do more. I travel very often. I've set foot on every continent on the planet except Antarctica. And
nice.
I'd like to maybe check that out at some point, although I really don't like the cold, so that's probably not going to happen.
You could do a really cool scene from Ligeia down in Antarctica.
Well, hey, at the Mountains of Madness, Antarctica,
Absolutely.
We'll do our first Lovecraft down in Antarctica. I hear shooting's really cheap down there. You can get licenses pretty easy.
Don't mind.
But yeah, well, along those lines, Lovecraft, and we mentioned him a little, in our previous discussion a little bit. Also an author that really was influential upon myself, and I really see his fingerprints all over sci-fi and horror.
Of course. Yeah.
Also, I'd like to do a Lovecraft at some point, and I'm thinking of adapting one, trying to pick the story. I've talked to some friends who just started a production company in LA who are completely into horror.
Nice.
They're really interested in the fact that I'm doing a version of Ligeia right now, and I'd like to sort of get into bed with them, so to speak.
I get what you're saying.
Okay. To have some production partners who have worked in the genre of horror before, to produce perhaps a Lovecraft. I've got some other original horror ideas that I've been thinking of also. Like I said, it's kind of an evolution of a lot of the things I've been writing.
Right.
That kind of brings that in. With horror, you have such a wide palette of things that you can do.
Exactly.
Because it's the fantastical, it's the not
uncanny.
real.
Yeah.
And it's great stuff. So I look to that in the future. I'd like to. I've got good connections in Europe from the things that I've done before.
Right.
And I just got a really good literary rep over in London.
Excellent.
So
Congratulations.
yeah, I want to kind of expand into Invictus Europa at some point.
I like
and
that
do some more
sound.
things over there. I really see television as a big market. I've got a background in it already, and there's long form narrative. Certainly, the HBO shows, Game of Thrones being very popular. The fantastical and the serial can really come together well.
Sure.
When stewarded by the right production companies. So that's something I'm looking forward towards as well as historical miniseries, things like that. I want to keep myself very involved.
I think you already are involved. Yeah,
Well,
this hunger, this thirst.
There's just so much more to do.
You know what? Knowing your passions and your love and how you look at television and all, you can bring back what was big in the 70s was the horror movie of the week.
Right.
There were plenty, most famously Trilogy of Terror, Karen Black and all, but I could see you maybe resurrecting, pulling a Ligeia of your own.
Well, one of the things that I thought about is in as far as television was concerned, and also the two authors that we mentioned,
Right.
Poe and Lovecraft, doing something sort of like a Hitchcock theater, a la Twilight
That would be
Zone,
fantastic,
a
'cause we don't
la,
have that anymore.
yeah, or we both have a history in this area, certainly Dr. Shock.
Yeah.
From way back would have a horror movie of the week, and he was usually doing new runs of the 50s horror films and things like that, and films from the early 60s. I wonder when he passed on. Do you know?
Oh, I don't. Not offhand. No.
I know he was still active in the late 70s because I saw old shows that were broadcast of him, then broadcasting older movies and things like that. And
Yeah, we haven't had anything since Masters of Horror from several years ago, so there's nothing.
horror anthologies on a major cable, I think, would be a great thing to do, and there are contexts that exist for that. So let's cut that portion of the interview because we want to just do that ourselves,
Okay, that sounds good.
and not give anyone else that idea. Just kidding, but absolutely. I mean, that's something to look forward, to also, and something that I'll at least try to pull off if I can. So.
What draws you to horror other than Poe and Lovecraft? Is there any, what are some of your favorite films? What do you love? Because I know you love story, you love character, which is fantastic because that's the mainstay to any great story.
Well, I guess the things that cross the genres in horror, that are certainly certainly categorized as horror, but have other aspects to them too. I mean, we talked about like the romance and the history of things like Poe, sci-fi aspect. Ridley Scott's Alien, of course,
my favorite
being
film.
one of the greatest films of all time, I think.
Excellent.
Ridley Scott, a director who's informed my work a lot. You know, certainly with the things he's done in terms of history. You know, in terms of like the visual context of everything.
Just a depth of detail.
How great was The Duelist being shot on film in real light? That was an incredible way to start one's career. Well, outside of the commercials that he had already done.
It's like Dogma 95 almost before it was Dogma.
Yeah,
95.
but before you got to Dogma 95. And yeah, you know, the things that sort of cross genres have made a big impression on me. And I'd like to, you know, I'd like to really kind of continue that, because all of those things about the human condition are really the things that make my heart beat. You know, dark human psychology, romance, you know, someone's struggle against a force beyond themselves.
Sure, the challenge.
Yeah.
Facing the other.
Absolutely. Things in a historical context, things in a fantastical, futuristic context. All these things are interesting to me. You know, I just want to delve into them all.
That's fantastic. I could definitely see you doing all of that.
Oh, thank you.
So when are you going on Jeopardy, by the way? You have this, you know what I mean? I mean, you just have this this love of learning, you know, which is especially with your history.
It's been the keynote of my life, and you know, I think it really spills into everything else. If you're not interested in the world won't be interesting to you. So you know, I keep myself involved and look for things, new challenges, goals, you know, anything that I can do. You know, I like getting up in the morning.
I hear you. We both have a bachelor's in history, and I feel the same way. It's like I couldn't get enough of other cultures and all, and it was so. I always felt like I wasn't learning enough, that I could never know enough.
Right.
Like, and then there's like all these periods in time I want to get back to.
Oh God, yeah.
But at least you have a chance to do that now with Ligeia. You're going to recreate this time period and bring it to life.
Absolutely. Well, you know, with things that we have at our disposal, and you know, and costuming, makeup, things like that. It's an amazing palette to use to really, you know, bring forth you know, a painting, but one that sings to you as well, speaks to you, you know, has motion, has life, and that's the beauty of cinema to me. And we're you know, we're really looking forward to this because of, you know, all the visual things that I had explained earlier, and really just what it all means to us personally. It's a passion project.
Oh, absolutely. And I think if people go to Indiegogo, what they'll see is, you know, you have a short film on there as well, explaining why you're doing this project. But you have some of the actors who are in there as well, and I think everybody, once they see this, they'll be like, "Oh, this is going to work," because that's what drew me right away. That's
Oh,
why
fantastic!
I was like, I have to have him on the show because this is fantastic. It's going to work. It's going to be wonderful.
Well, I'm so happy that you invited me, and thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been wonderful. So where can people find you? Where can people find you, Ligeia, everything else?
I'm usually wrapped around a pint of Guinness at any point during
I knew that. I had
like
that
during the late night. But yeah, I mean, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Ligeia the Film. Likewise, Twitter @Ligeia the Film. We are there to visit the Indiegogo campaign. That's Indiegogo.com Ligeia the Film.
Yeah.
So we're you know, we're pretty accessible. You know, look at the images we've got. We're going to keep adding to the sites, to the Indiegogo campaigns page as well. You know, and
great perks, by the way.
Yeah, and
great
we'll see where things take us. Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to being really flexible with the perks as well. You wanna pour even more money that's available in a specific perk. Well, we'll do something else with you. You know, we can we'll have a costume party. You know, maybe we'll travel around and see all of Poe's old haunts.
Oh, that would be a wonderful tour to take. Excellent.
That was my co-producer Christine Weiss's idea. So
she's awesome.
She's fantastic.
She's
such an asset, because I really I have such limited time for social media, and I don't know that much about it really.
Right.
You know, even though I was an original Friendster or MySpace, you know, all of that stuff. I just you know, Twitter was just you know, sight unknown to me.
Right.
Google Plus, no idea. You know, she's really been able to hook us into people, you know, such as yourself, who are of similar mind, share the same passions as we do about film, about horror, you know, about history, you know, all of those things. And, you know, we all get together and kind of sing Kumbaya now, so.
You can find me at crashpalaceproductions.com. You could also follow me on Twitter at Crash Palace, and also my Facebook page, Crash Palace Productions. And you can get this show and more from us on iTunes, The Last Knock. Of course, normally with Johnny Numb, who couldn't be with us today because he lives too far. But that's okay. That's all right.
I would have paid his turnpike toll, you know.
Ah, that's okay. We'll get him next time. We'll get him next time. Maybe at the bar having a Guinness.
Oh, well, fantastic.
I'm sure he'd love
Let's
that.
dispatch to do that right now.
All right.